All right, welcome in Kings fans after a neck and neck battle from start to finish without a fair fight, and the Kings almost had that third straight victory, but they come up short to the Heat, 110 to 107 in Miami in the closing seconds on a Tyler Herro three that ended up being the difference in this one. You never are happy after a loss, especially when you had a chance to get your third straight win. But I saw a lot of good things in this game, and like I said, a neck and neck battle from start to finish. To start with, the breaking news tonight, and I tweeted about this at halftime. And please leave your comments on the YouTube page. I'll try and get some of those in before we wrap this thing up tonight as we talk about this Kings loss to the Heat this evening. Domas Sabonis, and I don't know how many he finished with. I'm trying to find it right now, but no fouls for an entire half of basketball. For an entire half of basketball, Domantas Sabonis had no fouls and really a clean night all around for Domantas Sabonis. Defensively, he really carried his weight, not to mention almost pulling off the triple double with 22 points, 12 rebounds, and 8 assists in the loss. I do want to talk about some of the other guys that sort of picked up the slack, carried the weight in De'Aaron Fox's absence. But there were a couple guys that had quiet nights, and wanted to talk about them first before we get to some more of the positives, including Domantas Sabonis' big night, as I just mentioned, coming up just short of the triple double. Keegan Murray now, a couple of quiet games in a row, and I'm not sounding the alarm on Keegan Murray whatsoever. Only 7 points in the loss tonight. He goes 3 for 7 from the field, only 1 for 5 from three. And I didn't see him passing up on a lot of great shots tonight, but only 7 field goal attempts from that kid. It does concern me a little bit. I know Keegan Murray is going to struggle, and I have to remind myself, I think a lot of Kings fans have to remind themselves that he is a rookie, that there will be growing pains. He was so steady and he's just so mature and ready for the moment. It seems all the time that can be easy to forget, but that's going to happen. What I don't want to happen is Keegan Murray to lose confidence and not be taking the shots and when given to him. Like I said, I didn't see him passing up a lot of great shots tonight, but find that kid more than 7 shots in an evening. Davion Mitchell, who days ago was the one to step up when De'Aaron Fox left the win against Charlotte with the knee injury. And by the way, they said today before the game that De'Aaron was in pregame warmups, got into workout today, so that's positive. Looks like he should be back on the court before long. But Davion Mitchell, 29 minutes, just 9 points for the Kings in this one, 4 of 9 from the field. He did heat up a little bit at the end of the game and was actually sort of the go-to guy in the closing minute or two that kept him in this one. But quiet night for him. Not a quiet night once again for Kevin Huerter, you guys. Kevin Huerter can cook, guys. I don't know. I said this to Nick the other day on Cattles and Rami. Catch us weekdays 3 to 6 on Sactown Sports, SactownSports.com, or right here on this very YouTube page. At what point? At what point do we just go, oh, okay, Kevin Huerter he's just as good. Like the guy is, he's just as good, and never had a chance to really show it in a lesser role that he had out there in Atlanta. Just lighten it up, and especially in the first half, he cooled off a little bit in the second half and limped off the court for a minute with an injury in the second half. So I don't know if that's something that was hampering him throughout that half, but on the night, 22 points, 9 of 17, 4 of 9 from three, and just doing it all for this Kings team, and really one of the guys that stepped up tonight in the absence of De'Aaron Fox, but the guy that really I thought stepped up. And this might sound crazy. This might sound crazy. But this guy I'm about to talk about, and I'm going to talk. I see you guys commenting about the timeout. I'm going to talk about that timeout in a second, and it's not going to be second guessing or armchair quarterbacking. I was thinking it as it happened. But the crazy thing that I was about to say before I got sidetracked by your comments, The Kings being solidly a play-in team and having to scratch and claw for a playoff team, the guy that might be the difference in that is Malik. And you saw what he can do, what he can bring to a team when he plays within the system, but also brings that playmaker style that he can bring to the court. Malik Monk tonight in 22 minutes off the bench, 19 points on 8 of 13 and creating, playmaking, getting other people involved. 7 assists for Monk on the evening. It's a really solid night for that guy. And I really think having a guy like that off the bench, and when he's right, having a guy like that off the bench can really be the difference. That's what makes the Kings a solidly deep basketball team to a really, really good and deep basketball team. Having that type of ability off the bench is something that really can make a difference for this Kings team. Another guy that picked up some of the slack in the absence of De'Aaron Fox, and not so much in the box score. You won't see a lot of it in the box score, but Matthew Dellavedova, Mike Brown going to him for some heavy minutes in the absence of Fox. 20 minutes and only 5 points, 2 of 5 from the field. You're not going to see a lot in the box score in terms of Dellavedova's impact, but I really like what he brought when he was out there. And you saw some fluidity to the offense when he was out there. You also saw some of the little things, getting other guys involved. He drew a couple of big fouls, a charge, and another foul down in the paint late in this game. He can do a lot of those little things and really get under the other team's skin and sort of be that pesky guy for the Sacramento Kings. And maybe he earns a few more minutes even when De'Aaron Fox is healthy somehow in the absence of Fox, however long that might be going here in De'Aaron Fox's. Another positive, and then I'm going to get to the comments and some of the negatives that you guys are pointing out. The defense I thought was good tonight. You saw a lot of perimeter switches. You saw them doing that very well, and that's something that they have struggled with so far this season is the switching, and especially out on the perimeter. Some of the switching. I liked a lot of the communication. David B says Keegan's D was decent. That is true, and that's one of the things that you got to like about Keegan Murray and is very veteran-like about him, which is that when one facet of his game isn't working, he doesn't let it get him down and doesn't let it affect other facets of his game. He was uh, contributing a decent level on the defensive side of the court, despite another quiet night on the offensive side of the court. But I really, really like the defense, and I think we're seeing. And they said this on the broadcast on NBC Sports California. I think we are starting to see the Mike Brown effect on this basketball team and some of the little things, including the defense and the switching and the communication and things of that sort. So I thought a lot of positives to take out of that game. And I'm going to give Mike Brown some credit. As David B points out, wish we had a timeout for that possession. And I think it was with about 23 seconds left. And the Kings have the ball on one score, and they come down, and it looked like the Kings players were even surprised that Mike Brown called the timeout, their final timeout, just as they crossed over half court. Some of the body language from the Kings players told me that they weren't expecting that either. And I was looking at that and going, really? Now you're using that timeout? You're going to call that timeout your final timeout? You're going to go ahead and use that right now? Okay. Well, I hope that doesn't come back to bite you, and it did. Let me quickly just pull up the play-by-play here so I can accurately describe to you what happened. The Heat take a final shot in the final seconds, and Matthew Dellavedova comes up with the rebound, and instead of being able to call a timeout, set an offense, I think they put the ball at half court there, if I'm not mistaken. You just have to throw it up, and then you had the that was with, let me see here, 12.5. Oh, no, excuse me. That was with just under 2.5 seconds left that Tyler Herro makes that three. And you pick up that ball and you have to chuck it across the court. Domantas Sabonis gets it. He tries to get a 3-point while trying to draw a foul up while pretending to get a 3-pointer up, and turned out being an offensive foul on Domantas Sabonis. Which one did you know? Domantas Sabonis is some of the cleanest basketball he's played all season. He's getting the calls from the referees, and it ends on a Domantas Sabonis offensive foul. And that was that. 110-107. The Miami Heat exit with the victory. David B says Monk dribbling the air out of the basketball. There were some moments, and he's going to do that, man. That's one of the real frustrating things about Malik Monk. And the more he does that, I think the more you pull your hair out. But I don't know that you can take too much issue with what Malik Monk brought to the court for the Kings tonight. Megadeth Knight says they put up a good fight being without Fox. Thought they had it, but man, and yeah, I mean, a winnable game even without Fox. This might hurt a lot more if not for the fact that Jimmy Butler was out. That's a really good Heat team. They're without their number one. You're without your number one. It's a fair fight, and the Kings put up every bit of the fight from start to finish. I don't think this game was ever. I don't think either team really ever pulled away by even double digits. If I remember correctly. John says Herter is good, but this is a hot streak for him. All right, John. If you think so, buddy. I mean, at what point is it not a hot streak anymore? And he's just good. He's he's just really good. I don't know what he has to do before you start to believe that. And Tony E says, where was Keegan Murray? He kept struggling Barnes in late in the game. We could have had. Yeah, I noticed that as well. That Harrison Barnes was out there in the closing minutes, and Keegan Murray was not. But honestly, I don't take much issue with that when you look at the night that Keegan Murray has had, and I think he's just cooled off a little bit. Maybe this is the welcome to the NBA moment for the kid. He's cooled off a little bit. 7 shot attempts tonight, like I said, and he follows up a 12-point performance against Charlotte. 7 points tonight. And I guess going back to where I started this and talking about Keegan Murray, you could say that despite tonight he's having that because you don't want Keegan Murray to lose that confidence, you want him to keep knowing that he's a big part of the plans here and a big part of them being successful. If they're going to be successful, he's not there maybe just for his own confidence and knowing that you still have confidence in him and feel some sort of way about him. Again, Kings fall 110-107. The winning streak comes to an end on a Tyler Herro 3 in the closing seconds out in Miami this evening. I've been Ryan Nackloff. This has been the Kings Recap Show on youtube.com/Sactown Sports. Much more talk about this one, I'm sure, on the Carmichael Dave Show tomorrow, starting at 6 a.m. on Sactown Sports. And then Nick Cattles and I are back at it again at 3 p.m. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for all your comments, all your contributions. We'll talk to you again next time. The Sactown Sports Kings Recap Show.